Hello, welcome, and thanks for joining me. Let's spend a few minutes chatting about The Last Picture Show by Larry McMurtry, which is a book that I recently finished reading. You know, I've had this book on my want-to-read list for years and years and years. This book was originally published back in 1966. This paperback edition that I have, I came across this in a used bookstore a few months ago. I think this is from 1972. You can kind of tell that from the graphic on the cover here. And then in the back, there's also an ad for a movie called The New Centurions, starring George C. Scott, apparently. So I think this movie came out in 1972. So I think this book is around that time when also this book was adapted into a film also called The Last Picture Show. And it's one of my favorite films, directed by Peter Bogdonavitch. It was released in 1971, and the cast, just listen to the cast, it had Timothy Bottoms in it, Jeff Bridges, Cybill Shepherd, Cloris Leachman, Ellen Burstyn, Ben Johnson. So it had a fantastic cast. Cloris Leachman won the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress that year for her role playing Ruth Popper, character here in the book. So how I thought I would chat this book is just to give a brief sort of description of what the setting is and then the main characters, and that way you would really get an idea of kind of what this book is about, I think, because it's really about these characters in this place. It's really grounded in this place called Thalia. I think it's pronounced Thalia, Texas. It's west of, it's actually, I guess, actually a town west of Wichita Falls, Texas. So not quite far west Texas, but west enough. It's sort of an isolated small town, and the story really centers around a couple of high school friends, Sonny, and then his best friend, Dwayne. And so Sonny is really sort of a nice guy, kind of an all-around nice guy. Dwayne is kind of a leader, so Sonny really does whatever Dwayne wants to do. Dwayne is dating the prettiest girl and richest girl in school, JC, played by Cybill Shepherd in the film. And so Dwayne is, like I said, sort of this natural leader on the football team. Both he and Sonny are on the football team. It is a losing football team. They're in their senior year. JC, Dwayne's girlfriend, is, like I mentioned, she's wealthy and she's really pretty and she's really, really self-absorbed. And so she really seeks drama to put herself into the center of attention for everything. And then our other main characters are Lois Farrow, who was played by Ellen Burstyn in the film. And Lois Farrow is JC's mother. Then Ruth Popper, who I mentioned, is Coach Popper's wife. And so I don't want to give away too many spoilers, but I will say, because it's actually on the back of the book, it's in the sort of the blurb about the book, is that Sonny, the high school boy, the sort of the main character, ends up having an affair with Ruth Popper, the wife of the football coach. The football coach himself is probably, quite almost surely, a closeted gay guy. And he is also very sort of, I guess, heavily dosed in toxic masculinity. And so he and his wife, Ruth, are in a really unhappy marriage. And she winds up having an affair with Sonny, which actually turns out to be really one of the key and best parts of the whole book, how that relationship develops and then plays out. So then other main characters are Sam the Lion. Sam the Lion is a man, older man, who owns the town's diner and pool hall, where really the boys hang out all the time in one or two of those other places. And then he has a young boy who is, I guess, developmentally different, Billy, who lives with him, he's sort of taken in this boy who has no family, and this boy doesn't speak. He really just likes to sweep. So he'll take his broom and he sweeps the sidewalks, he sweeps the streets, and he gets lost in this activity, and he will eventually wander off, so that people have to kind of keep an eye on him and bring him back periodically to the to the pool hall or the diner or the picture show, because the town has a picture show. I didn't mention Sam the Lion owns the picture show, so that's another sort of gathering place that features throughout the book, the picture show. So the setting is, like I said, this town in sort of westish Texas, and the time is the early 1950s. It's not specifically stated, but through the references in the movies that are playing at the picture show, as well as the types of cars in the books that are referenced there are several books also referenced that are popular at the time. One gets the idea that we're talking about sort of the early-ish to mid-50s probably, early 50s probably. So it's this time frame. So this town doesn't have a lot going on in it. It seems like, the atmosphere that we are presented in the book is really kind of one of forlorn sadness, of something that's been lost or is being lost. So we get this emotion, and I'm speaking about both the book and the film. I should say I'm really going to be talking really about the book because that's what I read, and I'm chatting the book. I'm not chatting the film. I will say, though, as far as the film goes, it is a wonderful film. If you get the chance to see it, please do. I understand from what I was reading, Larry McMurtry did adapt the screenplay himself. He also adapted the screenplay, or worked on the adaptation of the screenplay for Ang Lee's Brokeback Mountain. So he is really kind of, I guess, skilled at this activity, especially of stories that take place in the West of the U.S. So the film actually follows the book quite closely. But in the book we also get this idea and this feeling of the past, and something has been lost in this town. The people in the town, they don't seem to be terribly happy. They seem to be really quite lonely. And I'll read a quote, one of my favorite quotes when I was reading the book that I came across, I marked to read. So I'll read that here before I go. But a couple of I already mentioned the relationship between Ruth Popper and Sonny. Ruth Popper, the wife of the coach, and Sonny. So Sonny, everybody, really all the boys in the high school, or most of the boys in the high school class, think JC is just it. She's pretty, she's popular, she's wealthy, she's really everything, and they sort of hold her up on a pedestal. And Sonny really is no exception, even though his best friend is actually dating, or as they say, going with JC. But he does end up meeting and getting into a relationship with Ruth Popper. And then, we as the reader get a chance to see what maybe is a deeper relationship versus what's more of a superficial relationship. And this has to do with the coming of age of this character, Sonny, who through this last few months of high school, through the summer, then following his graduation and on into the following fall, really hits adulthood. And in this town, from what I could, from the feeling that I got from the book, is that the high school students, once they graduate, they hit adulthood right away. Everyone seems to have to go to work, or they have to find something. There are very few that go to college. I think JC's planning on going to college, but the rest of the characters are sort of look for, where they're going to land in life. I didn't mention the waitress Genevieve, who's also kind of a recurring character, who is a comforting figure for Sonny. She is had to go back to work at the diner, so whenever they go late at night, a lot of times she will be working there, and it won't be that busy, and so she'll chat with the boys, and she's sort of a figure of wisdom. But she's had to go back to work because her husband's had a terrible accident, and so this misfortune has fallen on her, and of course they're really struggling with money. Everybody in town seems to be struggling with something. But speaking of wisdom, so this character Sam the Lion, he and Billy, Billy is the young boy that he's taken in that sort of has a developmental issue, and so Billy, though, I think represents some innocence. He is he only really is an innocent person. He doesn't see any bad in the world. He is just, I kind of think I'm really just sort of a symbol of innocence. Sam the Lion, on the other hand, is has a lot of world wisdom. He seems to be the most wise of the people in this town. He keeps a lot of this to himself, but I just think that those two characters represented world wisdom and innocence, and complete innocence. And so I really think that was really extremely well done, and how that played out, how both of these characters interacted with our main character, who is Sonny, throughout the course of the book, as well as we learn their interactions with various other characters, both in the present and in the past, that they've had. So, yeah, I think that's one thing I wanted to, before I run out of time, I wanted to read this quote, though, from the book, because I think it really sort of encapsulates maybe the feeling of these young people about to go into adulthood, and some of the big mistakes they could make or not. And so this little dialogue is actually between JC and her mother. This is her mother, Lois Farrow, talking about telling JC, giving JC some advice about her relationship with Dwayne. She says, "Okay," she said, "I'll let you alone. I probably confused you tonight, and I do hope so. If I could just confuse you, it would be a start. The only really important thing I came in to tell you was that life is very monotonous. Things happen the same way over and over again. I think it's more monotonous in this part of the country than it is in other places, but I really don't know that. It may be monotonous everywhere. I'm sick of it myself. Everything gets old if you do it often enough. I don't particularly care who you marry, but if you'd want to find out about monotony real quick, just marry Dwayne." I think that quote was really, really cool, and really sort of summed up really the struggle that most of the characters in the book either are going through right now because they're graduating high school, and in this world they are immediately entering adulthood, or the adults that already are in town, and how they've coped with this life of monotony. It seems like maybe only Sam the Lion might have gotten that answer right. I'm not sure, but that's what it seems like to me on first glance. So, yeah, all right. Well, before I completely run out of time, I did actually call up here's the film poster from the Last Picture Show, Peter Bogdonavitch, 1971. I can recommend that. If you've never seen it, treat yourself the next time you see it available. The next book chat I will do will be A Wild Sheep Chase by Haruki Murakami. I have already finished this book, so this chat should be coming up fairly soon. Until next time, take care. Bye.